All right, so are you ready to dive into a case that is um, anything but straightforward?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're going to be talking about a math tutor
Right.
and a sting operation and a whole bunch of questions about intent.
It's a fascinating one.
What makes this case so interesting is that it just throws a wrench into how we usually think about these situations, right?
Definitely.
We're going to like unpack all the details and
Right.
analyze the evidence and see if we can even make sense of this whole thing.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's just set the scene.
Okay.
The story revolves around this guy, Mike Manzi, who was a 32-year-old math tutor who used the alias Mike Thrilla online.
Okay.
Manzi started chatting online with someone he thought was a 13-year-old girl.
Uh-huh.
However, this girl was actually a decoy created by an online watchdog group called Parator,
Oh,
and they were working with the Fairfield, Connecticut Police Department.
gotcha.
Now, for those who aren't familiar with the term, a sting operation is when law enforcement officials basically pose as minors online to catch individuals seeking illicit contact.
Right. And these sting operations are often controversial because
Yeah.
some people argue that they can entrap people who might not have acted on their impulses otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that we'll definitely circle back to.
Okay.
But first, let's delve into the specifics of this case.
Okay.
So Manzi's online conversations included messages like, "Did you blaze?"
Hmm.
and "You're my soulmate."
Interesting.
Obviously, these raised some serious red flags, right?
Yes.
He even said, "You are so cute. You look way older, by the way."
Wow.
I mean, come on, those are some pretty incriminating statements.
Those messages definitely raise some concerns, but to understand this case, we really need to consider all of the evidence,
He's-
not just those messages.
Yeah, so picture this. Manzi arrives at the Sting House in Fairfield, Connecticut, expecting to meet this 13-year-old girl.
Right.
But here's where things take a very sharp turn.
Okay.
Instead of going inside, he walks up to Chris Hansen.
What?
Yes, that Chris Hansen from TV. And he starts expressing concern about the girl's safety and her online interactions with older men.
Wow.
He even claimed that he came to the house just to make sure that she was okay and that no adults were present.
It's unbelievable how this just took a turn.
Right. It's like he was trying to be the hero
Yeah.
in a situation that he created.
It sounds that way.
So I have to ask, what are your initial thoughts on Manzi's claims here?
Wow.
Was this genuine concern?
Yeah.
Or was this some calculated attempt to cover his tracks?
It's a tough one.
Yeah,
It's really the million-dollar question, isn't it?
it is.
It's possible that he felt some genuine remorse or like responsibility and wanted to intervene. But you could also see it as like a desperate attempt to deflect the blame and minimize what he did.
Yeah, it's like he's almost trying to create this story where he's the good guy,
Uh-huh.
despite the fact that he sent those early suggestive messages.
Right.
So let's take a closer look at the transcript from the sting.
Okay.
So during the confrontation and the interrogation, Manzi seemed really nervous, and he makes a bunch of contradictory statements.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like fidgeting and sighing and backtracking on what he said.
Ah,
It's almost as if he's trying to convince himself as much as the detectives.
I see.
So his behavior during that confrontation just adds another layer of complexity to the case.
For sure.
If we connect this back to those initial messages where he's talking about getting stoned and calling her his soulmate,
Yeah,
it just creates a very murky picture.
it does.
So how do we reconcile these two seemingly conflicting behaviors?
Well, that's the real challenge, right?
Yeah.
We have to look at all the evidence. He analyze his words, his actions, and consider all the possible motivations.
Yeah,
This is where critical thinking is so crucial.
for sure.
We can't just take his statements at face value.
Absolutely. And that leads us to another very interesting part of this case, the legal outcome.
Okay.
So despite the serious potential charges,
Yeah.
Manzi was only charged with one felony,
Hmm.
criminal attempt to commit risk of injury to a minor. And he received a suspended sentence of 3 years in probation.
Ah,
Given the circumstances, that seems incredibly lenient, don't you think?
well, it does raise questions about how the legal system responds to these online crimes.
Yeah.
There are a number of factors that might have contributed to the seemingly lenient sentence.
Okay, like what are some of those factors?
Well, for one thing, there weren't any explicitly sexual messages,
Ah,
and that may have influenced what the prosecution decided to do.
so the lack of that really explicit content played a role in the outcome.
It's possible. Yeah.
Okay.
The legal system often struggles to like define and prosecute intent,
Yeah,
especially in cases that involve online communication.
I see. So the absence of those explicitly sexual messages created this kind of gray area,
Uh-huh.
making it harder to really determine what Manzi's intentions were.
Exactly, and that likely played a big role in how the case ended up.
Yeah, this whole situation just highlights the challenges of going through the legal system when it comes to these types of online crimes. Proving intent can be really difficult.
Yeah.
And the line between fantasy and reality online can be so blurred.
Absolutely.
It's tough.
You've got a good point.
Thanks.
The internet has created these new avenues for communication and criminal activity.
Yeah.
And the legal system is still figuring out how to address all of these challenges.
Yeah, it's constantly changing.
Exactly. It's pretty fascinating how technology has created this whole new landscape, right?
Yeah.
Where the the old ways of doing things, the legal stuff is constantly being tested.
Right.
But let's get back to Manzi for a sec.
Okay.
This guy, right, a math tutor,
Yeah.
someone who's entrusted with kids, with their education,
All right, right.
right, with their, well-being.
Right. Yeah, that adds another layer to this whole thing, right?
Totally.
It challenges how we think about who's a threat to kids.
Exactly.
We have this image,
Yeah.
predators lurking in the shadows, but this shows they can be anyone, even people in positions of, authority.
Yeah, positions of trust, right?
Exactly.
I'd say it's unsettling.
It's a stark reminder that we can't let our guard down, right?
You know.
And, open communication with our kids about online safety is, so crucial.
Absolutely. Parents and educators need to be proactive about educating young people about online dangers.
And it's not just, monitoring what they're doing online.
Mm-hmm.
It's about building that relationship with them, built on trust,
Trust.
where they feel like they can come to you
exactly
with any concerns.
It's about creating a safe space for them to talk.
Yes.
Without judgment, without shame.
Exactly. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's circle back to the legal outcome again.
Okay.
Mandia got, what seems like a pretty light sentence.
Yeah.
Considering what he could have been charged with.
Right.
Does that send the right message?
That's a tough question, right?
Yeah.
There's no easy answer.
Right. On the one hand, you could say the sentence doesn't really show how serious his intentions were and the harm he could have caused.
Uh-huh.
But
there's the other side, too.
There's the other side.
Yeah.
The fact that there weren't those really explicit messages, right?
Right.
And his attempt to intervene, however weird it was, that might have, affected the judge's decision.
It's a difficult balance, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
Trying to deter this kind of behavior.
Yeah.
But also, looking at each case on its own with its unique circumstances.
Exactly. It shows we need a more nuanced approach, right?
Yeah.
To these online crimes against children.
For sure.
We need a multi-pronged thing.
Yeah.
Prevention, education, rehabilitation.
Right.
And holding people accountable.
Yeah. It's about finding that holistic strategy. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That protects kids, deters future crimes,
Right.
and addresses the root causes of this behavior.
You got it.
This case really shows how important context is.
Yeah.
Right. Without looking at the whole picture, the messages, what he did at the house, his job as a tutor.
Yeah.
We don't really get it.
Right.
We miss the nuances.
Right. And that's where that critical thinking comes in.
Totally.
We got to move beyond just surface level observations, right?
Yeah.
We have to carefully analyze and consider different perspectives.
Multiple perspectives.
Before jumping to conclusions.
Exactly. It's about resisting that easy narrative, that simple story.
Right.
And embracing the messiness of reality. Because things are rarely just black and white.
Yeah. Well said. This deep dive has been quite a journey.
It has.
With all the twists and turns and unanswered questions.
That's the beauty of it, though, right? The exploration. Yeah. We started with this case that seemed pretty simple.
Yeah.
And we just uncovered all these layers.
Right, right.
All these complexities, all these nuances.
It's a powerful reminder that there's always more to learn, more to question, more to discover.
That's what makes this so interesting, so compelling.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into this really perplexing case.
It is perplexing.
We want to leave you with something to think about.
A question, yeah.
A question that goes beyond just what Manzi did.
Right, beyond the specific.
And gets at something really fundamental about how we interact with each other.
Exactly.
We've looked at the evidence, the psychology, the legal stuff, but
there's still something there.
Yeah, one question just keeps coming back.
It lingers.
How do we reconcile what someone says they're going to do versus what they actually do.
Their intentions versus their actions.
Because in this case, those two things seem totally different.
At odds.
Mancy said he was worried about the girl.
Right. Concern for her safety.
But his messages online at the beginning.
Yeah, they suggested something else entirely.
So, like, where's the line?
It's a tough one.
How much weight do we give to words?
Right.
And how much to actions?
That's a question that goes way beyond this case, right?
Yeah.
It's something we deal with every day.
In our relationships, at work,
Everywhere.
how do we really know someone's character?
Yeah. Is it what they say?
Or what they do?
Philosophers have been arguing about this for centuries.
Right.
Probably won't have a clear answer anytime soon.
That it's still worth thinking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it makes us think about our own biases, right?
Yeah. Our assumptions about people.
And like, as the world gets more complicated,
Definitely more complex.
understanding these things, intent, motivation.
It's more important than ever.
So, as you go about your day, think about this question.
Keep it in mind.
Watch the people you interact with,
Pay attention.
not just to what they say.
But to what they do.
Look for patterns, consistencies.
Or inconsistencies, right?
Yeah, and by noticing these little things,
For subtleties.
we can like understand people better
Get a better grasp of human behavior.
and make better decisions ourselves.
Exactly. More informed decisions.
And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
we can close that gap
Between what we say and what we do.
between intention and action.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive
Appreciate it.
into, this complicated world of online stuff
It's a wild west out there.
and the murky waters of intent.
Definitely murky.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning,
Keep digging.
and keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.